Welcome to Moonfire Magic. I am still using this Rider Waite tarot deck. Rider Waite is one of the more traditional based tarot decks. If you're a new tarot reader, any of the Rider Waite tarots are good decks to use. If it says Rider Waite, all the cards in the decks are the same. They just have different versions. Like this is the Radiant. The cards are much brighter. They have ones that have like the definitions printed on them. Like they have a whole bunch of different kinds. But if it says Rider Waite Tarot, all the actual pictures on the cards are the same. And this is the really good deck to use as a beginner. So on my last video, we're working our way through the Major Arcana cards right now. There's 22 of them. My last video, I had just kind of finished up talking about this Tower card. So to recap, just a little bit, if you don't get yourself, if you're in a situation and you know it's toxic, you know it's unhealthy, you know it's not where you should be, and you don't get yourself out of it, the universe basically steps in the form of this tower and kind of obliterates everything that is not built on solid, good foundation away. Everything crumbles. I mean, you literally will feel like your whole world's falling down around you. And it is very chaotic. It is very difficult emotionally. But what happens is it comes in, clears out all the crap, and what comes after it is one of my favorite cards in the tarot deck, the Star. The Star is a very, very beautiful healing energy card. After everything has been obliterated, like, you know, your world's kind of been turned upside down, but in a good way, because now all the stuff that was false is gone, and it allows you to rebuild on a more solid foundation, hopefully go down a better path. Because if you don't, well, we'll get back to that. So after all the chaos of the Tower, you get this beautiful Star card. And the Star card is kind of like the calm after the storm. It's a time of restoration. It's a time of peace and calmness, healing, kind of taking a breath from all the chaos that's just happened in your life. And the Star is also one of the 2 wish cards. So, you know, maybe making a wish for what you want in the future. Here you can see how she's got the water, you know, there's the emotions, but also going on to the earth. And it's just a nice card. Anytime you get the Star. And it's also hope for the future. If there's a situation you're in and you're like, man, is this ever going to happen? Is it ever going to manifest? And this card comes up. It's telling you just keep having that faith, keep having that hope. It's coming. A wish is going to be granted. Just, you know, everything happens on its own timeline. So from the Star, we move into the Moon. And you can see these cards are, you know, this one's pretty dark. And then this one is a little bit lighter, but still, you know, in kind of the twilight. And then you have, and actually that's true, it's almost like this is midnight. And you got like this nice twilight, and then you have the Moon. Okay. So the Moon, you know, again, I don't remember what the dogs and the lobsters stand for. And the columns, I know you could look, I mean, anytime you get a tarot deck, usually it has a little booklet that explains it. But the Moon is kind of an illusionary energy, right? When the moon's out at night and you're outside, it's really hard to see the landscape. There's a lot of shadows. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of illusion. So the Tower came in and kind of broke everything down. So you can have a fresh start, new path, new beginning. Star comes to kind of give you a little bit of time to kind of like, whew, restore some energy and hope. And then the moon comes and it's like, now you're in this landscape of everything has just fallen apart and I need to rebuild, but I'm not really sure where I am or where I'm going. Okay, so it's a very shadowy time. The moon is related to emotions as well. The moon rules our emotions. So when the moon comes up, it can also be talking about, see, like there's the tides. It can be talking about, you know, your emotions, and maybe in the light of the moon, maybe they're not very rational. I know that at night when the moon is out, whatever astrology wise, whatever sign your moon sign is, I feel like that's stronger at night. So for me, like my emotions I'm way more emotional and vulnerable at nighttime than I am during the day based on like my astrology signs. But another thing with the moon is it's a timing card. So if I do some readings on a situation and I get the moon, you know, several times, I might look at, well, when is the next full moon? When is the next new moon? Because sometimes that can be a timing piece. But, you know, once you've got hope for the future, you kind of calm down from this storm and you go through this dark landscape, you know, after what comes after night? The day, the sun. You know, and even this moon is pretty bright, right? Even though it's kind of dark and illusionary, it's still pretty bright, but look at this sun. The sun card is just absolute innocence. You can see the child on the horse. It's joy. It's abundance. It's just happiness. Just happiness. Things are just good. It's just good. So the sun is definitely a welcomed card, especially when you've gone through, you know, you've had something that was really dark and addictive, and then the tower came in and said, okay, we're going to get rid of that for you. And then you have, okay, let me kind of calm myself down, kind of calm my emotions down, get some hope from the future. Okay, now what am I doing? Trying to figure out what my next step is. And then boom, all of a sudden you're in the light. Okay. So the sun in a reading is just happiness. It's good. It's good times coming. It can be celebration. If you're not feeling like you're in a happy place, like you're super depressed and you get the sun, you know, that can also mean that time is coming. It can be shining light onto, into shadows. Like if they're, you know, it's just a very radiant card. And then after that, there's 2 cards left. So after the sun is judgment. So judgment, like justice, right? These are the karma cards. So justice speaks about, you know, how your actions have long-term consequences. Well, judgment is here to judge you. It is the big, you're going to reap what you sow card. So going back to find my wheel here. So going back to this wheel, okay, here's the cycle. Here's the pattern that started it. And you have the inner strength, finding new perspective. Something needs to die or end so something new can begin. You know, trying to get yourself out of the addiction. If you can't, the universe comes in and does it for you. Then you've got your star, then you've got the moon, then you've got, where did my sun go? The sun, okay? So you've worked your way up to here. So now judgment's coming in saying, okay, you just completed that cycle. Have you learned the lesson that you needed to learn, or have you leveled up? Have you leveled up from it, or are you still stuck in it? Okay, if you're still stuck in it, then after Judgment, the wheel's going to come back up and tell you, nah, gotta do it again. And if it goes this way, you're doing it again, but not leveled up. So it may not be the exact same situation, but it's going to be another rough trial. So the very first time, once you want to start understanding tarot and understanding this, like the first time you may have no idea that, you can see it from a different perspective. You can get out of it before it's too late. Even when it's here, now like, where did modern, there's some temperance. Yes. If you can learn to moderate, and if that moderation is out of balance, even at this point, you now know, hey, I can try hard to get out of this. That's kind of what that is. It's like, okay, you're going to go through this and through this and through this until whatever lesson you're meant to learn with this, Judgment comes in. And once Judgment says, okay, you've learned your lesson, then you get the World. Okay, so the World is completion, satisfaction, contentment. It is linked to travel. I don't travel, so I don't really pay much attention to that, but the Chariot and the World are both cards that can relate to trips and journeys and traveling. But, you got Judgment in the World. That means that you have learned that particular lesson and that you're leveling up. And that leveling up, like the examples I gave, could mean that at some point you're going to repeat the exact same thing again. But the difference is your attitude towards it, your experience from it before. If you've learned from it, you'll have a more upgraded response to the situation that is better for you. So you have the World, and then after the World, okay, so that cycle is completed. Guess what comes back? The Fool. With the 0, right? So our whole life is this. It's karma and patterns, and it's like, when you finally clear out a cycle, another one begins. And then you go through it all again and again and again, right? And as we go through it, we level up, we learn our lessons. And my belief, being on the spiritual path I'm on, is that basically that's kind of the point of our life, is you become aware of, you're younger and you have these experiences, and I feel like it sets up the karma for your life that you're going to clear out. So it gives you the experiences that you're going to repeat later on or whatever. And then, you do that. You go round and around and around and then clear it out. Now, see, this can be tied to spiritual relationships as well, or toxic relationships, any kind of repetitive where, I have a person that I am very karmically linked to. And we have had 4 different rounds, and every time he comes back and we do a round, I level up and he stays the same. I think I don't know when the universe is going to throw in that tower, but this is pretty much where he's been for a while. And I think he has had some towers in there, but ultimately it's still, he's quite addicted to marijuana, smokes it around the clock, uses it to suppress feelings and emotions. And, that's not good. So where he's staying like this, okay, I'm going to stay here, meanwhile I'm over here and I'm like, I have figured out, I know how to have temperance. I know how to see, I have strength. I know how to see things from perspective. I know how to let things go. So I never, I don't really usually get to this spot anymore because I've learned how to do it the nice way. So then when Judgment comes, I get to level up and start over, right? And he's still stuck here. So, so it can relate to relationships, especially repetitive ones and repetitive cycles. Like right now, I feel like I'm waiting for him to come back for round number 5. And, the thing is, I love this person more than anyone. And every time we go through one of our rounds and then we separate, you know, I learn from it, and I level up from it. And, you know, the last round we had was a pretty intense one. And so when it comes back, you know, he might not have changed at all, but I've changed. And that's all I can do, right? I can't control anyone but myself. So it can be frustrating sometimes because you get yourself in this repetitive pattern, especially when you're in like a relationship with someone that you really love and they're not changing, and they're not, well, you know what? They're not going to change, and you can't expect them to change, and you have to love them the way they are. You're the one that has to change. That's the only thing you can control. So when this pops up, you know, it's fate, it's destiny. Whatever it is meant to happen. It's usually some kind of repetitive cycle coming back around, or, you know, you haven't learned quite what you need to quite yet. All right. Well, thank you for watching my first videos on my channel about the Major Arcana cards. So let's see here. We're going to do this one more time backwards. So World, that's the completion. So that comes back. So we got the Fool. That's the leap of faith. You know, that's the leap of faith. The trust fall, trusting the universe. Trying to find the Magician here. My cards kind of got out of order. Okay, here's your Magician. Being able to manifest your reality, being able to visualize, see what you want, and then use the tools available to you to go ahead and manifest your dreams and your desires. Then you have the High Priestess. Okay, you're gonna learn to follow your intuition, the answers you seek are within. If you don't know the answer, then it's veiled at this time. And then let's see, where's my Empress? Then we have the loving, nurturing, fertile, abundant, gardening, mothering Empress energy, followed by the authority, discipline, logic, self-control, you know, Emperor, that hopefully is not abusing that power. And then from there we have, you know, the High Priest or the Hierophant, society, institutions, you know, what is society teaching you? Conforming to society's ways. And then let's see, 5. So number 6, then wait, what's after? Oh yeah, Lovers. My brain's a little tired. Let's see here. Where are my Lovers? Okay, so then we move into the Lovers card. You know, and even the Adam and Eve kind of tie over to this church-like, you know, picture. But, you know, learning how to choose between your head and your heart, falling in love with someone for the first time, just you know, it can be having to decide between two people, just any kind of decision. It's going to be kind of tough. There's going to be consequences to it. It's going to invoke your heart and your feelings. Then you have the Chariot, where you learn how to harness those feelings and energy and self-control, and how to find the middle ground, taking opposing forces. And mostly it's self-discipline and forward movement. Keep moving forward to your goal. Okay. Then instead of Strength, I do the Justice card, which I'm looking for. Okay, so then there's Justice. Hey, your consequences have actions. Your actions have consequences. So think about that, because it's whatever actions you have, the consequences are going to come back around, and they're ultimately, justice will be served. So what side of the scale are you on? All right, then we move into the Hermit. No. Yes. Okay. So you've gone through society, and now you're going into yourself to figure out what is your truth. What is it that you believe? You know, what have you learned from your journey so far? All right. Then we've got the Wheel of Fortune. So here comes fate. Here comes the cycles and the patterns that you need to learn and level up so you can clear out this karma in your life. And then from there, that's where I put strength. Making, you know, finding that inner strength, the love, compassion, kindness to get you through. Okay. Learning how to see different perspectives of other people. Learning how to kind of put yourself in time out if you need to see things a different way. Okay. There's death. So we want to transform, we want to transcend. Well, something needs to end for something new to begin, right? This door closes, a window is going to open type of energy. Think of the phoenix, right? And then temperance. So having moderation in all different environments, you know, as the energy shifts around you, being able to, you know, shift your energy and keep it in balance and keep yourself tempered. But sometimes, even in our best efforts, you know, overindulgence comes in one way or another, and we get self-trapped into a situation that, you know we need to get out of, but sometimes it just seems impossible. Unfortunately, this leads to suicide in a lot of cases, which, you know, is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. But especially if you don't get yourself out of it and then the tower comes in, that can be tough. Not everyone is able to survive that, but hopefully you do. And if you see this as, okay, thank you, universe, for clearing that out for me so I can heal and have my faith restored. And then, you know, it might be kind of shadowy and I might be really uncertain, but I know I'm going to trust that high priestess. I'm going to trust that intuition. It's going to lead me through this darkness. I'm going to, you know, go back to my hermit and what is it that I believe? And I know my truth. Then I'm going to get through that and I'm going to find my way into the sun where I can, you know, be in the light of my truth. And then judgment's going to come and, you know, and say, hey, you're going to reap what you sow. Well, if you've sown good things, then you're going to get the world. Completion, satisfaction. And then, you know, you'll start again and again and again and again. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.